When I was 13, my father was convicted of manslaughter at the bar where he worked. The story never made sense. He went to the bathroom, came out panicked and covered in blood, immediately called the police himself. Then they arrested him. My mother moved on instantly, bringing home Brandon within weeks and demanding I call him dad. But something felt wrong about all of it. My father swore he was innocent, and deep down, I believed him. As Brandon settled into our home, his behavior became increasingly disturbing. He'd stare at me while eating, making comments about my body. When I told my mother, she dismissed my concerns. That same night, Brandon came into my room and grabbed my wrist hard enough to leave marks, whispering threats about what happens to girls who snitch. I couldn't trust my mother anymore, so I did something desperate. I started writing secret letters to my father through prison email, hiding them carefully. What I didn't know was that my father had hidden something for me, a journal, one that would change everything. Years of entries documenting his suspicions about Brandon's involvement with my mother, suspicious meetings, lies, details that suggested Brandon had been planning something sinister all along. Finding that journal felt like discovering the missing piece to an impossible puzzle. My hands shook as I photographed every page at school, uploading them to a secret cloud account. I reached out to Uncle Henry, my father's best friend, the only adult I could trust. Together we became detectives, tracking down witnesses from that night at the bar. Edward, the security guard, revealed that Brandon had entered the bathroom before my father, which contradicted everything Brandon told police. Caroline, the bartender, remembered Brandon asking unusual questions about my father's schedule weeks before the incident. But the real breakthrough came when we obtained forgotten security footage from the bathroom hallway. The timestamp was undeniable. Brandon entered at 9:47, emerged at 9:51, then my father entered at 9:52 and came out covered in someone else's blood. Brandon had orchestrated everything. He'd planted evidence, framed my father, and disappeared into our family like a predator. My investigation had worked, but Brandon was getting suspicious. He searched my room, installed cameras, controlled everything. When he discovered what I was doing, he made a chilling threat about my mother's safety. Accidents happen all the time, he said casually. That's when everything came to a breaking point. The moment my mother came home early and heard Brandon's confession changed everything. He'd been ranting about his perfect plan, how he'd killed a man in that bathroom when he was discovered, how he'd manipulated my mother with her vulnerabilities, how he'd been planning to eliminate her for her life insurance once their wedding was official. My mother finally saw the monster she'd invited into our home. She grabbed a kitchen knife and told him to leave. Brandon left, but not before threatening her with his own dark secrets. I had recorded everything on a hidden phone. When we played that recording for the police along with the security footage, the case crumbled. My father walked out of prison after 8 months, looking smaller but with hope in his eyes. He hugged me tighter than he ever had, and I knew we'd survived something that should have destroyed us. Brandon was convicted on all counts. Life without parole. My father started rebuilding his life with Uncle Henry's help. He met Caroline, the bartender who testified, and slowly found happiness again. I realized that sometimes the truth isn't handed to you. Sometimes you have to fight for it, search for it, and refuse to let it stay buried. My father's freedom wasn't a gift. It was something I earned through courage and determination, and that changed everything.